With all the snow that's been falling in and around Metro Vancouver this week and the freezing temperatures, you may be tempted to head south to a warmer climate. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be talking with John Cunningham in Phoenix, Arizona, and we'll be discussing Vancouver homes for sale versus Phoenix homes for sale. So stick around. Hey everyone, I'm Craig Veroni with RE/MAX Masters Realty. I'm your local real estate agent here in Vancouver, BC. Today's video is all about Vancouver homes for sale versus Phoenix homes for sale. If you're new here, I shoot a ton of videos about what it's like to live, love, and own here in Vancouver, BC. So if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell as well so you can be notified immediately when I do have a new video out. As I mentioned, I'm going to be chatting with my friend and colleague John Cunningham in Phoenix, Arizona today. Now, John absolutely loves Canadians, and I'll let him explain why.
I personally just wanted to say thanks to all you Canadians. We love you guys. For one thing, you bailed us out. We should have a parade for you every year in Arizona, because without the Canadian money that flowed into this place in 2007 through 2012, I don't know if we would have made it out. And I am totally serious about this. The Canadians saved Arizona. So we should have a Canadian day or a Canadian week or something to honor you guys. So Craig, thanks for being with me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Maybe you and I could start the Canada, Arizona, celebration day. It might just be the two of us to begin with, but we'll make sure to get more people on board.
One of the things I wanted to do is just kind of highlight both of our cities, both of our metropolitans, and just give people a feel for what it's like to live in both places. Craig, why don't you begin and just tell our viewers a little bit about Vancouver, what you love about it, and why you think it's a good place to live.
Absolutely, John. So like I said, when most people think of Vancouver, they think of downtown Vancouver. And as you said earlier, it is one of the most photographed parts of our city because it's absolutely gorgeous. It's surrounded by water, mountains, to the north. We've got Stanley Park, it's world famous seawall there. So it's incredibly beautiful and an incredibly walkable city. The thing about Vancouver is, for a large city, we're quite a small city geographically. And I think people from other cities that are used to these massive cities where you have to drive to, kind of get across, you can walk from one end of downtown Vancouver to the other in about half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on your speed. So
Right.
It's a very walkable city. Every amenity you can think of is there. You've got tons of high-rise and low-rise buildings for condo living.
Vancouver is probably one of the most photographed cities on planet Earth, and I have never seen a bad photo of that place. It looks good every time I see it.
And then just across the bridge from downtown, you've got the North Shore. So you've got North Vancouver and West Vancouver. And between those three cities alone, you've got so many incredible housing options for couples and families, and then there are many other cities surrounding those in the Metro Vancouver area. So there really is something for everyone, every budget, and every lifestyle here in Vancouver, which is lovely.
It's a beautiful, beautiful city. I haven't had the privilege of being there yet, but it's one of those places that, out of all the places that a person could go, it's one of those places that's on my bucket list. So, and for good reason. It's just a beautiful place, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. You probably have a good number of second homeowners there, people who live in Vancouver part of the year and maybe in another place, either in the US or in Canada, another part of the year. It's such a beautiful city that I'm sure that it takes a significant income to afford a property there. So I bet that a lot of them are what you would qualify as luxury properties, whether they be in a high-rise or a single-family residence.
People from other parts of the world, particularly like from your area, where I think the average price of a detached home is significantly lower than ours, would consider these sort of luxury properties. But in actuality, they're not really luxury properties. If you said, show me $1 million detached home here in Vancouver, I think most people in your part of the world would be quite shocked at what you could get for $1 million here.
Yeah.
It's just the cost of living here is high. The cost of land, the land value is very, very high. And so, yes, real estate prices are high because we have people from all over the world wanting to live here. And, Vancouver real estate has been sought after, just much like Toronto in Canada, where are the two main cities in Canada where people choose to live.
I had the pleasure of traveling to Sydney, Australia a few years ago, and it was such an interesting place to see. And I bet Vancouver has a similarity in that it's probably a magnet for people from all over the world, as you had alluded to. I bet your population is not strictly Canadian. It's probably a lot of people from different parts of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Which huge diversity in Vancouver, which I think is fantastic. Diversity makes any, not just any city, but any country stronger. Yeah. So, Vancouver has a good amount of diversity in it. Absolutely.
And I bet that shows up in a lot of the things to do, a lot of the restaurants. You probably have a great mix of gourmet options over there in your city with flavors from around the globe.
Oh my God, John, if you've you said you've never been to our city, but if you come here, you'll be in heaven with the food options here in Vancouver. I've traveled a fair bit, and I'm always surprised at how spoiled we are here in Vancouver, because we have world-class restaurants of every ethnicity. So it doesn't matter what kind of food or ethnicity of food you're looking for, you can find some of the best here in Vancouver. John, we've been talking about Vancouver for a while now, but I'd love to hear more about Phoenix and the lifestyle there.
I'm glad you asked, and I feel like I'm misleading you a little bit. You can see the fire behind me, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's not very often that you need a fire. We certainly don't need one. I'm sitting by the fire in a pair of shorts. So that's so Arizona. Living in Phoenix is really a pleasure. It's a city that's grown up a lot in the last 15 years. It used to be that our downtown area was really not much going on, but that's all changed a lot in the last 15 years. Our downtown Phoenix has a ton of activity, and it's a place where people go and spend time to be entertained, spend time to live there. And our metropolitan is vast. There are roughly 30 cities and towns in the greater Phoenix metropolitan. It's 100 miles from one end to the other. And so there's lots of housing options, and it's a place that is extremely affordable. In US dollars, the median price is right around $270. And there are many neighborhoods that are significantly more, and some even a little bit less than that. This neighborhood that I live in, the median price is going to be closer to $500,000 or $600,000, and that'll get you a nice place. And if you are able to spend up to $1 million, you can have an especially nice place. And just a little over $1 million, you can be looking at luxury property in this area. So property is really affordable. The weather, you guys have heard all about our weather. It's crazy in the summer, but it's not too bad. I actually get to swim a lot in the summer, so I like that. But for about 6 to 7 months, we love the weather here, and it allows us to do a lot of outdoor living. And so we can go hiking in a shorts and a t-shirt in January, and that's really nice. And the Canadian people that I've sold homes to, they come here for that. They want to get out of the parka for a little bit, and they may not necessarily spend their entire winter here. Some do, but some just come here to get a break from the cold and then go back to enjoying their life in their Canadian city. But Phoenix has a lot to do in terms of entertainment. We have professional sports, the Phoenix Suns. We even have a hockey team here. And I always get made fun of when I talk to you Canadian guys when I say hockey. I'm not saying it right. It's supposed to be hockey or something like that, But we have our hockey team that's doing quite well. We have a professional basketball, baseball team. We have college sports. So we really enjoy our sports here, and just the outdoor living lifestyle here in Arizona that allows us to be outside year round. I even do 60 to 80% of my cooking outside all year round. So that gives you a quick idea of what it's like to live in Phoenix.
Well, you were saying that so many Canadians like Phoenix for the weather. And I think the reason so many Vancouverites in particular like going down there or purchasing a second home down there is because it emulates the lifestyle they already have here through the summertime, right? So we are an incredibly beautiful city in the summer, lots of outdoor activities. I too grill on my barbecue year round because I've got a covered balcony. But I think Vancouverites in particular love heading down to Arizona and Phoenix in particular there, because through the winter time, they get to enjoy the same kind of lifestyle and weather that they're, used to here. In fact, I mean, it's much warmer for most of the year down there than we do get up here in Vancouver. So
hey, I like to golf a good bit, and I go a couple times a month, and sometimes there's one guy in particular I golf with quite a bit, and when he and I go, I would say 70% of the time when we get hooked up with some other people who we don't know, they're Canadian guys. So the Canadians absolutely love this place. And, one of the things I wanted to point out is, if you're going to be living in both places, you have to do it right. Arizona or anything in the U.S. can be a safe haven to your assets if you're a Canadian guy or gal. And if you do it wrong, you can get clobbered on the taxes, and you really have to be keen on how much time you spend here. You can spend a great amount of time, but you've got to do it right. And if you don't, then both governments will be happy to, punish you dearly if you happen to have citizenship in both places or one or the other. You still have to do things properly. So, I've got connections here in Arizona who are, there's one guy, Bob Keats, who has a book all about this, and he renews it every year. And Bob is a financial planner who's certified in Canada and in the US. And so if you're a Canadian person who's thinking about living in both places, just make sure to talk with somebody who you trust, who can make sure that when you take title in either place, that you're doing it in a way that is going to be beneficial rather than detrimental to your tax situation.
That's excellent advice. Yeah, fantastic advice. You were talking about the median cost of a home down there, and unfortunately, we can't compete with the prices. We can't compete with the prices. Just to give you an idea, the average price of a condo. So we're not talking a detached house here. We're talking a condo or townhouse in downtown Vancouver. As of last month, was about $759,000.
You're right. You can't compete with us on price, but we don't have an ocean outside our doors either.
Yeah.
You guys live in a beautiful place, and that's how it is here in the U.S. too. If you live on the ocean, especially California, certainly in certain parts of Oregon and Washington, that property is just going to command more dollars, and that's just how it's always been, and it's never going to change. So if you want to live in a place like that, you're going to have the income to handle it.
Tell me a little bit more about some other areas. So we were kind of talking about, your downtown core growing significantly over the last little while. And you said your city is quite vast. I mean, in terms of 100 miles is a huge area to cover. Yeah. So let's talk about some options for housing around your city center. I mean, as I mentioned, for Vancouverites, for anyone coming up here looking to live, if you don't want to be right downtown, there are tons of other options quite close to the downtown core.
Here in Phoenix, there's one of my favorites, which is the Arizona Biltmore area. So that area is around the Arizona Biltmore Hotel. I live close to it. I'm in the Arizona Biltmore area myself, and there's roughly 30 communities inside Arizona Biltmore proper, and most of them are gated. Many of them are guarded. So this is, if you look on a crime map on Google, you'll see that the Arizona Biltmore area is, almost always one of the safest areas of town, lowest crime rate, just because of that. And it's great for second homeowners also because of those two attributes. It's truly all that stuff in the Biltmore. It's totally lock and leave. If you're If you're a year-round resident, it works great. But if you're somebody who's coming and going and you want to leave your stuff there, well, it's not impervious to, all crime. It certainly sees a lot less of it than a lot of places. So Arizona Biltmore is great. There's a ton of restaurants around here. The north border, we have Piastoa Peak, also known as Squaw Peak, which is just a little mountain range area where you can go hiking, and there's fabulous views from up there. Those trails get used every day by lots of people. So a lot of friends go out there, and when I go out there myself, I'll see people who've been going there for years, every day. And some people who are into fitness are running those trails. Some people, on some of the ones that they're allowed to, they're biking on those trails. And so that's really one nice thing, is you can get your exercise done outside in that area. The Arizona Biltmore Circle is an area where all the big estate homes are, where there's homes between 5 and 12,000 square feet, and they're mansions and they're priced like it, and they're just a great option for somebody who has all the money in the world to live in Arizona. It's one of the popular options for people looking for luxury property. There's also some great luxury townhomes in there that are priced anywhere from the sixes up into the millions, depending on what you're looking for. So Arizona Biltmore, a lot of those residents participate in memberships at the hotel, so they can belong to the spa, have a golf membership. There's 2 18-hole golf courses on the premise. People like that. It's less than 15-minute drive to Sky Harbor International Airport. Downtown Phoenix is less than a 15-minute drive. And if you didn't want to do any driving while you're here, you certainly wouldn't have to. You could leave your car parked and walk to everything that you would need if you had a property inside the Arizona Biltmore, which is a little odd for Phoenix, because we are known as being a commuter city.
Right.
The cities that were developed, like Chicago, New York, those kind of places, they're more of a pedestrian-friendly place. This place is very spread out, but the Biltmore is an exception to that. It's a very walkable place. And lastly, I'll just mention, I think out of all the major cities in the U.S., I think Phoenix has the best freeway system in the entire country. It's not congested, well thought out, and there's a lot of it. So you can get around from, one end of our metro to the other super quick. So I love living in this place, and I have a hard time imagining not living in the Biltmore area. And while that's true, there's still lots of other great choices, but this is one of the best areas in the entire valley.
Sort of Biltmore area sounds very much like our North Shore, where you have North Vancouver and West Vancouver. I live in North Vancouver. I absolutely love it. I've lived here for about 13 years now. Prior to that, I was almost 20 years in the West End, downtown Vancouver. But the thing I love about North Vancouver is that it offers couples and families so much in terms of housing, schools, and amenities. Much like you were saying, people who like to go hiking and be on trails. Well, that's what the North Shore is all about. Incredible trail system here for hiking and biking. We can't compete in terms of areas and price, but the average cost of a condo here in North Van is about $691,000. So it's about $60,000, $70,000 less than downtown Vancouver, just for coming across the bridge. And then
I would imagine it's just a matter of where do you want to live. People who have $600,000, it probably can pay $800 if they wanted to. It's probably a matter of where do you want to live, right?
Exactly. That's what it comes down to, is where do you want to live? What kind of lifestyle do you want to lead? And it's the same, someone we're heading down to your area. It just depends on where do you want to live. John, I really want to thank you for inviting me to join in this conversation about, our two cities, what they have to offer. I love the fact that you appreciate Canadians so much down there, because we loved your city and a lot of Canadians.
Like I said, Craig, we should be having a parade for you people every year.
Well, I think that's fantastic. But I think it speaks to the quality of life and the things that Phoenix has to offer. Most Canadians aren't going to go down there and buy homes if it's not a great place to be, if it's not offering us the kind of lifestyle we want to lead down there, in a second home. I really want to thank you for inviting me to join this conversation with you, talk about our two cities. As you were mentioning, for Canadians and Vancouverites in particular, looking for a great option for a second home, Phoenix, Scottsdale would be great places to consider. And obviously, if you're going to consider them, John Cunningham would be the agent to reach out to.
Hey, I appreciate you saying so, Craig.
As I mentioned, I'm Craig Veroni with RE/MAX Masters Realty. I'm your local real estate agent here in Vancouver, BC. And John Cunningham is your local real estate agent in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you have any questions for either one of us, if you're moving here or relocating here, or perhaps you're a Canadian looking to purchase a home in Phoenix, Arizona, be sure to shoot us a text, send us an email, or contact us on our mobile numbers. And as John said, we will help you do this right. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. And if so, would you do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button, give this video a like. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below as well. John and I would love to know your thoughts on our two cities. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. And remember, this is where you live, love, own Vancouver.